What is Giving Tuesday? Why should you invest your time into defining what is Giving Tuesday? Here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we decided that we wanted to have a theme this year for our Giving Tuesday. So our Giving Tuesday is going to be Chattanooga Music Gives. There's something about giving through the power of the arts. My name is Shane Morrow, and I am director of R.I.S.E Chattanooga, along with my partners today, which is SoundCorps, which is the Chattanooga Tourism Company, with Arts Build. We're gonna have just an array of different conversations today, but also showcase one of the biggest assets that we have in this community, and that is our creative community. Behind me, I have an amazing group of young ladies that are coming from the Center of Creative Arts High School. They are amazing. They are our future. They give. They're giving their talent, they're giving their gifts, and they are going to perform for us live today. Who directs them is the one and only Nashawn Calloway. If you don't know her, you should. Country Music Association, believe it or not, she was the Teacher of the Year, one of the Teachers of the Year, and was actually, again, profiled and spotlighted by the Country Music Association. She is taking her time, her energy, and getting these young folks together to sing for you right now. So I present to you the Center for Creative Arts Vocal Ensemble.
Merry Christmas, way up north where the air gets cold, there's a tale about Christmas that you've all been told, and a real famous cattle dressed up in red, and he spends the whole year working out on his sled. It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick. It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick. Just a little bobsled, we call it old Saint Nick, but she'll walk the toboggan with a 4-speed stick. She's candy apple bread with a ski for a wheel, and when Santa hits the gas, man, just watch her peel. It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick. It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick. Run, run, reindeer. Run, run, reindeer. Whoa. Run, run, reindeer. Run, run, reindeer. Don't miss no one. And hauling through the snow at a frightening speed, with a half a dozen deer with a Rudy to lead. He's gotta wear his goggles 'cause the snow really flies.
I'm the vocal music director at Chattanooga High School Center for Creative Arts, and I want to thank R.I.S.E Chattanooga for inviting us to be a part of their Giving Tuesday program on this morning. And we have to leave in just a little bit to go back to school, but we have a couple more songs that we are going to do. I wanted to highlight some of my students that are wonderful soloists, as you have heard this morning. And also, these young ladies are part of an ensemble of 38 girls. But I couldn't bring them all this morning, so I just brought just a little bit. So I would like to invite you to come, and if you want to hear more from us, on next Thursday, December 7th, is our holiday concert at Center for Creative Arts at 7 o'clock. Come and support public school, come and support music programs, because we know that arts are the first thing to get cut when people want to take away money. So we want to make sure that our young people stay encouraged and stay involved in the arts. So Micah Kramer is going to come and sing White Christmas, and then we're going to end with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
I
to the amazing vocal ensemble from the Center of Creative Arts High School. Come here. What's your name?
My name is Gracie Hawkins.
And you are a junior, senior?
I'm a senior.
Why do you enjoy music?
I've been doing it practically my whole life. My dad's side of the family is really into music. I think it's a form of expression and creativity, and it's fun.
Why do you think that it's important for us to continue to talk about music and make sure that we have funds to do music programs?
I think that it's really important for students to be a part of some kind of like music or art program because it's how we express ourselves. It's how we figure out who we are and what we want to do and what we're good at and what we enjoy. And so I think it's important to keep talking about it and to keep performing.
Excellent. Excellent. Give her a round of applause for that. This is why Chattanooga Music gives. We're going to continue to have more conversations in a couple of moments. Stay with us. Stay with us. Give it about 10 minutes. We're going to go ahead and have a panel discussion that I think that you will really enjoy in regarding to the importance of music, our local scene, some of the challenges, and hopefully we can get you actively involved in making a positive difference through the power of the arts. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to CHA Music Gives, housed right here in R.I.S.E of Chattanooga. If you haven't been to R.I.S.E Chattanooga, you need to come check it out. So anyone who loves music, who has actually had a part in music, who's been a creator, this is the platform that you want to make sure that you share out to everybody that's watching. Super excited today. My name is Donna L., and I have a plethora of amazing, talented creatives right here in Chattanooga, whether they run a music organization, whether they are in the trenches with music, they make music happen right here in Chattanooga. So I'm going to start from the left to the right with Mr. McKissick, and I want you to introduce yourself and tell us the organization that you are with.
All right, hi everyone. I'm James McKissick with Arts Build.
My name is Nishan Calloway. I am a teacher in Hamilton County Public Schools. I'm the vocal music director at Chattanooga High School Center for Creative Arts.
Hello, my name is Janelle Malone Drake, and I am with SoundMind Creative Strategies.
Hello, my name is Jimmy Wheeler. I'm with the Tennessee Entertainment Commission.
And I'm Chad Harris. I'm with the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
I love it. Now, the Sustaining the Rhythm, that is the name of this conversation today. And what the purpose of this conversation is to say, why is it important to continue to invest in music organizations, support live musicians, go to music venues, be a part of music around Chattanooga and the state of Tennessee as well. And we have some amazing people, but I have one question I want you guys to finish the sentence, everyone. I'm gonna start with you, Chad. So I hope you're good on your feet, all right? Music gives, and I want you to finish that. I'll start. Music gives me life, light, and love.
Music gives us community.
Music gives us opportunity.
Music gives me purpose.
You took my word. I was going to say, for my students, music gives opportunity, helps them define themselves.
For me, music gives me culture.
I love it. So when we think about music, you see a diverse group of panelists here, and we all have history in music in Tennessee and beyond Tennessee. And I want to ask each of you, what sustains music? What will keep music going? And I'm going to start out and say we hear support. And what does that mean for you when we have opportunities of more support?
Well, support comes in a lot of different ways. I mean, obviously there's financial support, regulatory support, but most importantly, I think it's just being there. Getting out into the community and standing in those spaces where those live folks are on stages pouring their hearts out, for other people's enjoyment, and so to me, that's the most supportive component of live music in particular.
Yeah, I want to also ask Deshaun, because you are working with the youth, and at one point of time we were all youth, and as some of us it was many, many years ago. Some of us, like me, it was just a few. What? Y'all don't have to chuckle so hard. Tell us a little bit about what it means to support our youth along the way.
It is very vital. Being at the Performing Arts School, we have kids from all across Tennessee, from different ethnic backgrounds, from different socioeconomic backgrounds. Some kids, not everybody is good at sports. And some kids find themselves in the arts, in music. They find themselves when they come to our school. And so we can't do what we do without having the backing and financial support to be able to just even take the kids on a field trip, bringing the girls here today. You know, I had to go pick up 2 students because they needed a ride. Those are things that are not in my job description, but we do as educators because we love the kids and we want them to have those opportunities. So financial support is always a big one, and if you give the teachers what they need financially, they can make everything else happen.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask Janelle, as an artist, as a marketer, you know, what does support look like for you?
I really want to piggyback on what Ms. Nashawn said, because really those adult mentors and those adults in your life as a younger musician and artist are so important. I go back and think on my own journey, and it was my music teacher that pulled me out and said, you can sing. Yeah. And I want your parents in here because you can sing. And so me doing that just opened the door for even more opportunities. And so we want that adult support there, but then also you need the support of your community. You need those people that you can make music with, the ones that make music fun and it's not a chore, you know, so that the community is important.
All right, thank you. And then Jimmy, I'm gonna ask you as well, last but not least. You know, you're coming from a different lens, but you also have the background of being a part of a record label for years. So what does support look like on your end from the state perspective and also being in that realm of work as well?
Yeah, I mean, it starts at the top, right? And if we can get some policy around music and the business of music and supporting not just businesses but also educators in the music space, I think it's going to do a lot long term for the state of Tennessee. When we think about music, a lot of people think about Nashville, but there's music throughout the state of Tennessee, from Memphis to Chattanooga and Knoxville.
Glad you said that. Thank you.
Yes. So yes, as a state representative, we want to support all our communities, and that's my goal. Is when I'm done with this, that we have robust music communities across the state.
We have so many opportunities as we're working as individuals to sustain music right where you are. Tell me how you or your organization is maneuvering through sustaining. We talked a little bit about support, but what is your organization doing, or you as an individual, to continue to sustain? Chad, you want to start there?
Sure, yeah. I teach a number of classes at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, that are related to live music. I'm teaching a class this semester that's sending students out into the field, and Donna and I are going to work, we've worked out a partnership for the spring to have that class begin to do, create promotional material, particularly social media types of material. And while they're out in the field doing that, I'm going to be teaching a class that's largely about identity. And learning to sort of value the different people that exist within a space. And I think Chattanooga, Tennessee, I mean, as you mentioned, we often go to Nashville and then we label the state as a country music state. But the fact of the matter is it's a much more diverse musical state than that. And Chattanooga is a much more diverse musical community than that. And so it's nice that we've got Nashville to bring some people in, but it's even better if we can build opportunities to allow, particularly our young people, to see the beauty of the city. And I don't know that there's a better place to see that beauty indoors than at live shows.
James, I see you grabbed the mic on this one.
No, Nashawn handed it to me.
I was like, okay, James is up for this one. So tell me, what is your organization doing?
Well, I want to answer that first question, though, because you said, how does music sustain us? I would like to really flip it and say, how does how is music sustaining our community? So, we recently at R.I.S.E completed the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study, which showed that the nonprofit arts sector just in Hamilton County has about $191 million impact in our economy. And I think a lot of people don't know that. And that's how music is helping to sustain us. It's giving tourists something to come to. It's giving, citizens something to come out to and enjoy. It's giving young people careers right here in our community and in our city and our county. So the way that I like to think about it and the way that arts build, we musicians and music organizations, they need money, they need funding. Our city government, our county government needs to support the arts. Our citizens need to support the arts. It's Giving Tuesday, so we need to open up our checkbooks and give to organizations that are giving back every day to our city, our county, and our community.
Thank you for sharing that. I love, when we think about how music sustains community. But I also like to go back to the personal aspect of how is music sustaining us. Janelle mentioned her music teacher. And this is a time I love to take away from the serious side and remind us of the kid in us. Who drove you to music and why? And I'll answer mine first in two ways. One, it was Miss Stigall. I was in 3rd grade. And I was at, I think, Ridgedale Elementary, and that was, I think some of y'all have heard me tell the story. I wore a red dress to perform Jingle Bells, and before I knew it, me and my mom were in our dining room going, ah, so I can learn vibrato, and Miss Stigall taught me music. 2 other people that showed up for me, because it's about showing up for people, right, was Keith Landecker and Dewana Young Man. And they were 2 people that were in the industry when it comes to radio and TV and music. And so they taught me the ropes. So they led the way for me. So who showed up for you, Jimmy, and made you say, this is something that I love?
Well, it was my dad. I followed my dad into the music industry. I am not gifted as a musician. That was not my gifting. So those who can't, they sell. So I grew up around the industry my whole life and got to meet a lot of cool people. Back then I didn't think it was as cool, but as I got older I realized that being a supportive person in the music industry is just as important as the music itself, right? And the tagline is it all starts with a song, right? But that song's got to get taken somewhere, right? And it's people like me that work in the industry that help promote the music.
Thank you. Deshaun, I got to ask you, you didn't have the kids, your youth perform Jingle Bells. I ask that you bring that back. That is one of them. I can come lead it anytime. Me. I'll be ready for it next time. Dashing through the snow was the line I kept fumbling with. But next time.
Got it.
So tell me, who was your inspiration?
There's been somebody, I think, at every stage of my life. First, it was my mom, who always made me sing in church for Easter and for Christmas. I was up in front of the church singing. Then I started taking piano lessons at 10, and I also joined the band and started playing the clarinet at 10. And so it just kind of grew from there. At the University of Memphis, Dr. Larry Edwards was my choir director and really helped instill in me a love of choral music, which brought me here to Chattanooga, where I studied with Roland Carter. And working with him, he would throw me out there to conduct in different performances and put me in spaces where I never thought I would be and give me those opportunities. And so I, in turn, wanted to give those opportunities to my students. I want to instill that same love, and any chance I get to perform, I have my students come to perform. I want them to have real world experiences to let them know you can sustain yourself as an artist, even if it's as a side gig where you make a little extra money, but you got to learn how to do it now. And so I give them every little opportunity to do it. So there's been somebody at every stage of my life that's really, had a profound impact on me musically.
What a great job you do. I'm going to ask James. Who was your person? I'll go to Janelle and then Chad. And
Oh
then
my
we'll come
goodness.
back
So
after
I'm going
you.
to tell you the person that helped me realize I wasn't a musician.
Oh, no.
And rest in peace to my piano teacher, Sylvia Johnson. She used to wear my little fingers out with her ruler. That was before we realized, corporal punishment was wrong and all that. But I did take piano lessons for years, and actually it gave me an appreciation of music. And sometimes you just have to appreciate something from afar. That is wonderful where other people can do it, but I can't do it. So I stick to writing and visual arts and things like that. But it's so important to have those experiences because it does teach you to appreciate no matter what.
Well, so couple people. My dad started me out. He got me a boombox for my 6th birthday with the MC Hammer CD, and and there was only one song on there with the singer, and I don't remember her name, but it was Going Up Yonder, and it was the last track. So that was the first song I learned. He kept saying, "Why do you keep playing that song over?" And I'm like, "That's the only singing on there." So I learned that song. Fast forward a few years, Maxine Jones was my music teacher from 5th on up until 12th grade. And I would sing in my room by myself, and my parents would hear me sing, but I didn't know I had a voice. I'd just be like, oh, I sound like the person on the CD. And she was the one that told me, no, you have a voice, you can sing. She was the one that identified that in me. And then she gave me opportunities. She threw me up on a stage. I would stand there and I'd be shaking and I had that nervous quiver. But she was the one that really pulled me out and gave me those opportunities and instilled that confidence.
Like some other folks up here, I'm not a musician either. I'm a fan, and that's who I study, actually, are music fans. But in terms of turning me on, the answer is really my mom, mom and her turntable and the various albums that would spin. But if we want to jump out of a less sappy answer, then it's Casey Kasem. Okay. Casey Kasem was kind of a badass for me when I was a kid, and I would be that kid that'd wake up in the morning and go and record the American Top 40, and then listen to it on my Sony Walkman as I would mow yards, to earn a little extra money as a kid. And so, Casey Kasem was really instrumental. When you live in an area that's it's a little more, little less connected, a little more rural, then radio becomes your go-to.
When we think about years past, that was our thing. Casey Kasem, Walk Baby Love, Tom Joyner, So Don Cornelius, things like that made us who we were. We're not going anywhere, but we're going to take a small break, all right? Today is Giving Tuesday. Give to a music organization, by the way. Don't leave us. We'll be right back. This is CHA Music Gives.
Thank you.
I am a supporter of St. Jude. Not only is there the provision of world-class
That looks different.
It is your phone. Okay.
Welcome back to CHA Music Gives. I am Donna L., the moderator for this panel discussion, Sustaining the Rhythm, Opportunities and Challenges when it comes to music. And I hope that you are giving to a music organization, a musician, a venue, and supporting them today and throughout the rest of your life is what I want to say. I have some amazing panelists that are here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves once again in case you guys are just joining us. So I'm going to start again. I'm going to start from the right to the left this time.
I'm Chad Harris from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga.
I'm Jimmy Wheeler from the Tennessee Entertainment Commission.
I am Janelle Malone Drake with Sound Mind Creative Strategies.
And I'm James McKissick from R.I.S.E.
All right, Jimmy, I'm going to start with you this time. What are some of the biggest, you're working with several different cities right now. Tennessee is your thing. We're depending upon you for us to be, no pressure at all,
Thank
like no
you. I
pressure at
appreciate
all, to ensure that Tennessee is looked at as a diverse, inclusive, thriving music state is what we're looking for. But what are some of the challenges that we've experienced or you've experienced since you are working with some of our different cities? What are some of the things, some commonalities?
Actually, it varies from community to community, right? Where Chattanooga has done a really great job of focusing on their music industry, on their music ecosystems. But there are communities out there that have music assets in their community, like a theater or an outdoor amphitheater or something else, but they just don't know how to properly use it as an economic development tool. And, you know, music is the great connector, right? And everybody loves music. Wow, there I am. And so what I'm finding out there are there's communities out there that just need some help. You know, just need a little focus, maybe need some financial help, and that's where the state can come in and really help them focus on their music ecosystem.
All right, so thank you for giving Chattanooga a shout out. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go with James this time. What are some of the challenges that you've seen working either with musicians or I will say music organizations that you've seen that are common across the board?
Well, for organizations, of course, funding, but I think for individual musicians, I'll kind of speak back to the music census that we did here in Chattanooga and some of the points that were kind of evident in that. So we noticed at R.I.S.E. that a lot of the musicians really wanted business skills, to learn more about taxes, how to establish themselves as an independent contractor, an LLC, whatever. And that's why we began to offer the Periscope program that was just for artists, entrepreneurs. We also saw things like musicians want more information and more access to healthcare and health services. So that's an area that we can look at as well. So I do think that this survey is a great resource. It's wonderful that our city did that because we can look to it and see some of the things and some of those areas of need that organizations, individuals, government can kind of work to address.
So we all, I'll say Janelle, myself, Chad, we work with the census a lot And of course, the Arts Bill too. I do want to include you all there because you all were one of our internal partners. We saw a lot of challenges from that census and those findings. What are some that stuck out to you in your roles where you're in now, and some of the needs that you see were a commonality?
Well, one of the things that, and I think James pointed out an important thing that we often overlook, and that's that most of the professional musicians we see on stages, particularly in Chattanooga, it's a side job for those folks. They're working some other job in order to make ends meet, but they're devoting their evenings to us and to their art and to their to the thing that drives them. And I think that that's important. But because it's a side job, that means that these artists don't have benefits. Oftentimes, unless they get it through their other job. And so I think developing that infrastructure, one of the groups that I work with down in Athens, Georgia, is a not-for-profit called Nucci Space. And Nucci Space connects artists to mental health services for the community. And I think that's a really special thing that they do down in Athens, and it's something I think we could do more of in the state of Tennessee as well. So I'd love to see more support for artists in that regard.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend about after 2020, no one's the same. And one thing I know about creatives, they spend a lot of time, two things, to themselves and in front of people, right? And so you can be in a room full of people and still sometimes feel isolated and alone. And we do need to make sure that we elevate the voices of assisting everyone. I won't say just musicians, everyone that might experience depression, anxiety, any type of mental illness, because we are all facing that. Yeah. Janelle, let's talk about some challenges you've experienced, because you come from two different sides. You're on the marketing side, and you're also a musician as well, and you lead an organization. Tell us a little bit about what you've experienced or seen.
Yes, so one of the things that came out, I'll go back to the census, was there's this willingness to collaborate, but not necessarily always the spaces to do so, and then maybe a lack of direction in that. And so that's one thing that we've been focusing on post-census is what does that look like. My husband and I, he's in the audience, have a space where we want to allow people in to collaborate, make music, rehearse. That was one of the things that came out. We want someplace to rehearse, and you got amazing spaces like R.I.S.E. and Upper Room Studios. So that's kind of where my two worlds collide. Of course, I'm always going to ride for the musicians and the artists and the singers, but I also love to see when they put strategy behind what they're doing to move forward.
Thank you. One of the things that stuck out for me was there are performances, but nobody's showing up to these performances. So how can we continue? And I'm coming from two different perspectives. One is from my tourism hat, and one is from my radio hat, is how can we, one or two things, provide the music in which people want to experience? Because sometimes it's not about, you might have a certain performance, nobody's showing up. Well, is that what the audience wanted to see? How are we quizzing that or figuring that out? And another part might be, we have some great talented artists that are performing, and why are people not showing up? And so I want to ask that question. If we move, or as we move forward in sustaining music here, we have to entice people to show up. Do you all have any answers or recommendations of how we could even help promote? I know we have a great partnership what we're doing on the tourism side and working along with the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga about elevating students, retention with students, but also promoting live music shows and venues. But that's what I'm getting emails about. We are not supporting live musicians. How can we do that moving forward? Do you all have any say in that?
Well, geez, supporting live musicians and getting folks out into venues. I mean, I was at Barrel House Ballroom last night for a show, and with a great band, American Aquarium and BJ Barham, and it was probably, half full last night, which for a Monday night, it's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but you'd like to see it fuller. But I do think that one of the things we need to do is get younger people involved earlier. And we need to also consider what the barriers to getting young people involved. One of the challenges that I've run into that I didn't really think about ahead of time was that a lot of the students that I have can't actually get in to some of the venues where the live music is happening because it's a 21 and up situation, which that gets you to juniors and seniors in college. Whereas when I was an undergrad at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, most of the live music venues that were around there was an 18 and up situation. Now there were problems that came with that, of course, and I enjoyed a lot of those problems. But you know, it's a different sort of scene. The crowd's a little older these days than it was when I first started going to shows, and I think that's something that we need to work on changing.
Is that because of who the performers are?
I don't think it's necessarily who the performers are, although I will say that some performers tend to turn out crowds. This is one of the things I can tell you about fan studies. Fans will follow their acts. So like the show I was at last night, there were a chunk of people who weren't from Chattanooga because American Aquarium has followers that go around with them. And, you know, and I caught Frankie and the Witch Fingers at JJ's Bohemian with a friend of mine who's a musician named Mae Partridge. And we were in there, and it was like a Wednesday, and it was packed. You know, now JJ's is a little smaller. It's I think 99 seats or 99. I think that's their fire code. 100 people can be in there roughly. But that band clearly had a group that knew who they were that followed them. And so I do think that that we do need to tap into who those artists are that are going to bring audiences with them, because music fans are devoted people, and they will travel. And particularly they'll travel if there's a venue that they've just got to go see. And we happen to be lucky enough to have one of those sort of, you know, once in a world kind of venues that's not too far from us in the Caverns. It's outside of Hamilton County, which I know is maybe outside of Chattanooga Tourism. But, you know, if you can go see a concert in a cave, go see a concert in a cave. You know, and you know, and experience that. So, but getting younger people involved sooner is really.
Well, I wanted to say too, Donna, like this is a national problem right now. Like we really, I think we have to acknowledge what we've been through. We had 1 million people die. We were shut down for 1.5 years, 2 years. Audiences are just not fully back, especially performing arts audiences. You have entire groups and demographics that just don't feel comfortable coming to large performances and being indoors at shows and concerts. So this is something that we're going to have to continue to get out of, but it is something that we need to think about too, because, you know, COVID is not gone. It's still out there. But there's a lot of changes about to happen because arts organizations are coming off of the COVID funding, the relief funding. So you're going to see some layoffs, some tightening up. I mean, even ArtsBuild, like we're facing right now an $80,000 deficit because of that next year. So that's something that we're working to plan for. But there's a lot of transitions happening, and that audiences across the country are not fully back. So we need to make sure that people feel safe, but also continue to market and try to pull ourselves out of this.
One thing that you left out, and I'm going to agree with everything, is the price of a ticket has pretty much tripled in comparison to 2019. So concerts where you could go attend an old school audience, I'm not talking about your smaller locations, you know, where you could attend, I'll think of artists that I love, an Usher or Old School New Edition, where I could go get that concert ticket for $70, now they're $350. So,
and is it even the Usher ticket? Because now when you like look up your ticket, you get all these other fake sites.
Right.
You're buying it from resellers.
Right.
There's a lot of legislation that's going to be coming down the pike that we really need to advocate for clarity in the ticketing process, because it's not fair to consumers what we're dealing with right now.
Right. Affordability is definitely an issue, right? And access and consistency, I think, can help get more people out. And to do that, we have to make it affordable, not only for the ticket buyer, but we need to make it affordable for the venue to put on the show. You know, the margins are super thin on bringing in an act. And we have to have some policies in place that allow these venues to continue to be open, for one, and two, to have more shows. And, you know, Texas has just passed a bill that is going to help venues in a big way. And we are trying to mirror that, you know. And there is some legislation coming around the ticketing, because that is a big issue, because these resellers are bad actors in our industry, and they are taking advantage of what's going on right now, and we need to get a hold of that.
Right. And, as I think about all of our performers, the industry has changed. I love the performer side of things. I'm thinking about the old school radio play, right? Those days are gone where you make more money by your song being played per se on the radio. That didn't exist because that was payola. But I think about you're selling albums, right? So if albums are being sold, you're making more money. Now you have, now you have the tour only. You do have more opportunity with social media, but now you're not our artists today are competing with Michael Jackson. A lot of people don't realize that the new artists that are coming out now are competing with artists that were out 20, 30 years ago because you have more access to the music. I don't want to age myself, but back in the day, Janelle mentioned you had that one CD that you listened to over and over again, and that CD is that what your father purchased for you, right? And that's how they made money. And so you didn't get to listen to a lot more CDs until you listened to the radio. Well, that access has changed. So when we talk about sustaining music, I'm going to ask you guys this. We have a generation that is behind us. How are we preparing them to sustain music, our music ecosystem, the marketing support that they need, the funding sources that they need? What are we doing to ensure that our 21 and under, that our 20 to 30, what are we doing to ensure that they continue? Janelle, I'll start with you.
Well, one of the things that's really big is exposure. And in the absence of somebody to tell you step by step what to do, you being able to see it in action can supplement that. Born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, and so the opportunities as a teenager were immense. I mean, we sang at award shows, we were doing live recordings, and those type of things is what taught me how today to handle myself as a musician and an artist. What's professional, what's not professional, what do you need? And I saw those things in action, so I'm always gonna push for exposure. You need to see those things.
Well, I'll say, so a few years ago, we did a study with some students from Harvard Business School about arts patronage locally. So they interviewed people coming out of performances and museums and whatnot, and what they learned is the person's support of the arts and reason for going to that event really reached back to exposure and experiences they had as young people with the arts. So I will always say that the way that we sustain and support and build the next generations is to make sure that we have strong arts education in our schools, arts programs that expose people to the arts, and provide consistent and ongoing arts instruction, because it is so important. I was in a meeting a few months ago, and I'll never forget this. A person said, the people that are governing us now and making decisions are really the first generations that never had consistent arts instruction in school. And if that doesn't make you think what we're going through now and the way that we can't think critically, the way that people can't make decisions about, is information correct, is it not, how do we go to sources, is what I'm saying true, that gives you something to think about. And it's critical, because it's not just about sustaining music, sustaining the arts, it's really about sustaining ourselves, our humanity, and our country into the future.
Jimmy?
I have to follow that.
Look, I saw. Wait a minute. I saw your face. Wait a minute. I don't know if Jimmy was looking at the floor and the mic dropped, because the face he made was looking like, "Ooh, I can't follow that." And I was like, Jimmy."
Well, I mean, he said it. I mean, education is key, right? And we have a problem in the state where we're not every school has music education or anything like that, and that's a problem, and that's something that we have to fix. And that's part of what I want to do is help fix that issue, because that's where it starts, right? And you're right, it's all about access now for music. It used to be ownership, and people don't own, music anymore unless you're into vinyl. But it is all about access. And the flip side of that is that there is a lot of access to music, though. You've got your whole music library in your hand now, which can be a good thing, because it is, people are getting turned on to the Michael Jacksons or the bands from the 70s that you haven't heard of and all that. So that's on the flip side, that's a good thing, but we need to get into the schools and we need to get to music education. We need to fix the problem that we currently have in the state.
I want you to respond, but on Thanksgiving, my family sat around and we watched old videos. So we went back to the old Michael Jackson, old Rick James. We went back, we just sat and watched the old Soul Train dancers. And one thing that my mom said, she said, my sister said, "Ooh, I wish I had a big pair of glass slippers like that and the platform shoes." Those people were dancing and they look happy. And it's the joy that music, gives. I say me when I listen to music, but it's the joy in how people feel. And that reminds me of the things we talked about with mental illness, the things that we've experienced. We don't listen to music enough. We have news access anytime we want to. We can pull up anything anytime we want to. And then how much is anything of too much is sometimes too much, if that makes sense in so many words. So I'm going to continue with you, Chad, if you want to go ahead and respond.
Sure.
I hope I didn't deter you.
Well, and I do think that you're right. There's a degree of saturation in the marketplace. There's and this isn't just music. It's information. Yeah. We have access to more information right now than we've ever had access to on this planet. And each one of us is a media producer. Just by simply having like a Facebook account or an Instagram account. I mean, when I teach my students about media usage, I often turn to Spider-Man and say, with great power comes great responsibility, because I think Stanley kind of really encapsulated things there. And we have that power these days, but I'm not sure we're using it responsibly. But back to the question, there's lots of conversation about education and what education can do. And as the educator sitting up here right now, I'm going to deflect and suggest that there was another commonality that came across most of the answers up here today, and that was the importance of family. And so take a look at your kids, your parents, look at what those folks are doing, and bring that stuff into your house. There are things that you can do at home before you ever send your kid into a classroom. And if you do it well at home, then the classroom will be different too. And one of the things that I think we see more and more of an issue these days is just trying to get young people out and about and doing things. And so make sure and take your kids to shows. It's great to see young people in audiences with parents, because that's the next generation. And bring them in and and introduce them to the old stuff, so then they can understand where the new stuff came from. So because we do have this endless supply. Albums never go out of print anymore. It used to be they would go out of print, and that was I turned to Napster and started downloading stuff because I couldn't buy it. It wasn't available. I mean, I loved this album by a band called the Del Fuegos. It was an album called Boston, Mass, and it was just wonderful. And I had it on cassette. And but then I wanted to buy the CD, and it wasn't available on CD. So Napster became the answer, and then of course Napster turns into Spotify and everything else. So
it was two things I was asked this year. I'll say by my counselor. This is me getting very transparent. It was, "Donna, what are you doing to bring you joy?" And that's why you keep hearing me say music brings me joy. And so I took my niece to Beyonce's concert this year. Now, our noses were bleeding because we were so far up. But it was an experience of being there with her, singing songs together. This is my niece that is normally to herself, scrolling on the phone. She sings, has her earbuds on the whole time. But this time, I have videos and experiences that we have together where we were singing together, because that brought joy. I've also attended 2 more concerts since then. Now, some of them were my hip-hop concerts because that's what brought me joy. And I remember asking my son, I said, "Hey, do you like concerts anymore? Would you like to join me?" He was like, "No, I don't want to go. I don't like concerts." But Lil Wayne came to Knoxville. And that changed for him. He took his girlfriend. He didn't take me. But I'm not bitter. But what I learned is that it reignites you with your childhood. It reignites you. There's not a song that there are songs that when you're in the car that you can cue up or tee up, and it can either remind you of one or two things, a person or an experience, or both, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And so with that being said, I want to ask you a simple question before we roll out, because this is our wrap. What is your favorite song? Overall, oh my gosh. What is your favorite song or favorite artist? And why? And so I will start. You want to go? Chad was like, I know this answer.
Yeah, I know the answer to this one. I'll go with an artist, but I'm not going to pick a song. That would be too hard. But I'm a huge Drive-By Truckers fan. Absolutely huge Drive-By Truckers fan, and have been. Saw them for the first time in 1999. And have been following that band since that point. So the Heathens have been my place. It's my people, my community. And so, Drive-By Truckers would be it. And let me add one thing since we're wrapping up. There's a lot of affordable music in Chattanooga. I mean, Cherry Street Tavern, I think they got two bands on Thursday night, Bark and The Great Dying. Both are produced by the Drive-By Truckers bassist, Matt Patton. And I think it's a $10 or $12 cover to get in. I mean, that's next to nothing. So
for some people.
For some people.
Okay, let's be clear, because that sounds next to nothing.
True.
Okay, cool. But some people like $10.
But it's not your Beyonce ticket. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And there are no nosebleed seats in the local watering holes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. No nosebleed seats.
Yeah, I don't think I could pick a song necessarily, but I've started thinking about what artist can I listen to every song they've ever done, and that's Queen. Yeah. They continue to they put out just great music time after time, and I never get tired of it. So it'd be Queen for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I cannot do a song either. I'll be talking for the next hour. But two artists are Brandy and Alison Krauss. I could listen to anything they do. Neither of them can do no wrong. And both of them I got to see live for the first time in Chattanooga.
Awesome.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do a song either, but two artists that I've always loved, their music just lifts me, is Shaka Khan. I mean, the whole catalog. And Betty Carter.
Okay.
I mean, just that's just what I love. And they can pipe that down into my coffin when I'm gone.
And that is good
and I'll
enough
be
for you.
there with a smile on my face.
I love it. And I will, and I'm glad you all shared that, because I think that give people an opportunity to know a little bit more about you. I will say my true R&B artist who I loved for years was Musiq Soulchild. I used to love Musiq Soulchild, but the artist now, because when I hit the stage now, I want to see everybody in the room experience as much joy as I do. And when I come out, no matter what audience, black, white, green, yellow, tall, short, old, or young, I play Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. And everybody, they are on their feet because they experience the connectivity and they experience the community that you guys were talking about. This is CHA Music Gives. Please support our local organizations here in Chattanooga. It is very important. We are here. If you all want to stop by, R.I.S.E Chattanooga on Taylor Street. This is a beautiful facility. And when I tell you music is my passion, and I want to say thank you to our amazing panelists, the ones that even drove in from the Ville. Thank you so much. This is CHA Music Gives on Giving Tuesday.
And welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to another segment of Chattanooga Music Gives. You're going to hear a lot of sounds around us because we have folks running around and actually enjoying their lunch. But we wanted to make sure that we continue the conversations in regard to the importance of music here in our local scene. My name is Shane Morrow. I'm the janitor over here at R.I.S.E Chattanooga. Some say that I'm the director, so I'll take that for today. But right now, I have an amazing panel of friends that are going to have a conversation with you and with all of us about nurturing the local scene. You'll hear a little feedback when I'm talking, but we're live, so be ready for anything. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and I'm going to start over here, right to the person next to me. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Jonathan Sussman. I'm the Director of Special Events and Programming for the City of Chattanooga, but I've also been a professional musician for 25 years now.
Are you that old?
Yes, I'm 25.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan.
Good afternoon. My name is Joy Stiles, and I am actually a council member in Nashville, Tennessee. And it is wonderful to be here with you today.
Thank you.
And I'm Stratton Tingle from SoundCorps here in Chattanooga. We got about 1 million things going on. We are helping with the live stream aspect of this, all the cameras and everything that's happening behind the scenes as part of our bandwidth initiative. So big thumbs up for ourselves. I'll try not to break my arm, pat myself on the back for the for the bandwidth stuff, but as you can hear, our volume kind of going up and down. We're just sort of getting set up still as this is happening. But I'm going to encourage you, Shane, to get up on that mic so the people that are online can hear us, and we'll make sure the monitors are turned down to compensate.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Y'all, we're going to have a great time and great conversation with these three folks. And again, a shout out to the rest of our collaborative partners. That is the city that's sitting right here, the city of Chattanooga, always a continuous partner in everything that we do, and we're very grateful. Of course, we could not do today's event and other events that we align ourselves with here in the community without SoundCorps. We could not do this without the Chattanooga Tourism Company and Arts Build. Nothing but love for you, baby. Nothing but love. So let's begin. Nurturing the local scene. We have a plethora of folks in different kind of boxes of sorts when it comes to creative energy. Everybody wants an opportunity to be seen when you're a creative body, right? What are we doing to encourage those individuals to showcase their gifts? And I'm going to give this to Jonathan right now because I tell you what, Jonathan has, outside of being one of my good friends, Jonathan is true that he has been a musician, but also too, you have seen the ups and downs in regarding to people trying to create their platforms to be showcased and also to showcase their gifts. What are we getting right now, and what do we need to be working on?
Yeah, small question. What are we doing right, and what do we need to work on? I think what we are doing right is from the state level. Councilwoman here and Jimmy Wheeler, who we heard from earlier, getting that level of support at the state level, I think is definitely something we are getting right. And I think that we are going to see more and more growth out of that trickles down to major and smaller cities across the state. So, you know, I think we're getting that right. I think we are, you know, as a city, I know that, you know, Mayor Kelly, who himself is a musician and a music fan as well, has certainly done quite a bit in his time to help support the local music scene and the local music economy by making space and bringing people to the table, to having true, real conversations. What we're getting wrong, this is not the fun part, but I think sometimes we can over-define what you are and what you want to be. I remember conversations a long time ago around, well, what would you say is the musical brand of Chattanooga? And to me, that's an unanswerable question, because so much music grew from Chattanooga, from areas with 300 miles of Chattanooga. I think we can put too much definition on things, and I think we can also get in artist ways too much. I don't think, sometimes we need to let artist communities be their community, give them the support that they need, but then let that, as Seth Godin says, let that tribe itself naturally, organically grow, and don't don't get in the way. Just be there as a support tool.
And I think the key element, what you stated right there, is that providing the tools for them to grow.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you a question, SoundCorps. Let me ask you a question. What are some of the elements that you think and that you see that we need to give more to our local musicians and artists?
So I think elevating local artists to larger and larger stages and larger platforms is key to answering your question. I think, you know, there are a lot of different ways to do that. I think there are a lot of people with our city, like Jonathan here, with a lot of different organizations, as well as our small venues, you know, more and more open mic nights. There are a lot of opportunities for people to have more access to those larger audiences and building their live set in front of larger audiences. I think from a SoundCorps perspective, you know, you all online can't see it right now, but we here on stage are staring at some cameras and some lights and some sound and stuff, and you know, growing our resources to be able to open this up to more and more performances, to showcase more artists online. We're actively pursuing, you know, some grants, just to talk about some of the stuff we're doing. And I'm glad Jimmy's here. I'm pointing over at him with the state of Tennessee and the digital workforce grants that are the digital skills grants that are coming through, that we're really working towards helping more artists to have a bigger presence online. We do that with our Soundbites sort of e-newsletter. It's a local music subscription service. I think it's maybe the only local music subscription service in the country where subscribers pay $5 and we feature local new recorded music and send that directly to our subscribers via email on a monthly basis. And those artists are paid for their work. So opportunities to get artists' new work in front of people are really important. There's way too many organizations that are to talk about that are doing that in Chattanooga, but I think that is something that is really important to artists. I think that's what we saw in the feedback from the Chattanooga Music Census is, again, access to larger and larger stages, larger opportunities, and expanding their audience with the support of local organizations like SoundCorps, like R.I.S.E, like the City of Chattanooga, like Chattanooga Presents, the Road to Nightfall series, you know, and I could go, again, Barking Legs just did 22 straight nights of almost all local music, you know, all local artists. It was amazing.
Right, it was amazing.
So more and more opportunities like that are what local musicians are looking for and what they need to grow their careers.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stiles, you know, when you think of Nashville, the first thing that comes to mind is that's Music City. It is Music City. It is the Mecca, as it's promoted, for music. What have you been doing in your city that we can be able to bring here to Chattanooga? What things are you doing to nurture your local talented folk?
Thank you very much, Shane. So what we did this year was create the first music, film, and entertainment office for the city, and then created a music, film, and entertainment commission. Now this commission, because as we know, as creatives, there's nothing worse than government getting involved in the creative process, the actual creation, right? And that's my background. I don't know how I'm sitting here as an elected official. I still don't know how it happened. God. So, but it's interesting because my mind is still as a creative. So when I look at things, I see where the gaps are. And what I remember, I came to Nashville as a country artist. And so knowing that there was no connection between the city and music, when music is the foundation of what we're making our revenue on, it didn't make sense to me because I moved from New York where there's already partnerships taking place, right? So when I ran, I said, I gotta do something about that. We have to fix this because the city has money. The city has money that can be given to artists to create. One of the things in terms of housing, we only have 65 units that the city created for artists. We're Music City. We have musicians coming by the minute, right? So the creation of the office, creation of the commission, and then I have a project in my district which is a defunct mall. It was a 1 million square foot mall, and we have purchased some of it, and there are some existing entities on it, but one of the things that I'm doing is building artist housing. So I'm looking to build 400 units of artist housing specifically and make my district ground zero for being an artist. So it's inexpensive for you to live and create and work, but your work doesn't have to take you over. I think if you as a creative, working an 8-hour job, then come home and hoping that you have the energy to create whatever it is that you do, that's a lot and it's exhausting. So you need to have a place to live that's inexpensive, where even if you go to work, you still have all that room. You're not working to survive, right? It's just augmenting what you do already. That was a lot, but I'm chatty.
No, but it's interesting that you say that, because I think that we don't have, for a lot of artists or for creative spirits, that zone, that haven, that safe space that they could be able to just sit down and just create. Correct. Just take a moment and just create. Jonathan, when you look at the growth of Chattanooga, I've been here 20 years, I've known you for, 14 of the 20. I see a lot of growth that has occurred. A lot of things I know that you broke some barriers in making sure that we saw. What do you see from back in the day that we should be focused on today? And I'm going to explain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I think since 2014, 2015, we've seen tremendous growth. I think through COVID, we saw tremendous loss. And so to get to brass tacks of what we need, that I think I've stood on this soapbox many, many times for many, many years, and I'll say it again. The musicians that are actively working, they absolutely need support. Now, the 14-year-olds to the 24-year-olds, we need to look at. Okay, let me do this analogy. When I was in marketing at UTC, they taught us how Mercedes-Benz would market to 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, not because that 16-year-old or 17-year-old could afford a Mercedes at that time, but they knew that they would be a future consumer, right? And so when we look at our musicians right now, I think looking and focusing at that 14 to 24-year-old range is one very, very important aspect. If anybody's ever heard of the Vera Project out of Seattle, please take a second to look it up. It is an incredible program I could go on forever about. Important things too. Let's be real. Healthcare, mental health care. We talk about having to do those second jobs. I was in Nashville. You came for country music. I was a kitchen manager at the Bluebird Cafe. For the same time. Yeah. But I worked in bar industries. I worked in restaurant industries with fellow musicians, and there is a culture, and it's not pretty, There is a culture of mental issues, mental illnesses, being masked with drug use, being with addiction. We have to address that head on when it comes to the creative class, because a creative class of having to work that 40 hours and then go home and practice and then spend your entire weekend playing shows and then getting the word out and doing all this stuff, right? It can be mentally exhausting on a person. And I think I think Chad mentioned Nucci Space down in Athens, Georgia earlier. I've had a chance to tour that, the Vera Project. Another one is the Health Alliance for Austin musicians. Yep. And they provide free, low-cost health care to musicians who prove a certain percentage of their income. It comes from music. They also produce reduced cost hearing protection, because that's a major problem. My tinnitus can tell you it's a major problem. Spent a lot of years next to a drum monitor, so. But I think, we have to long-windedly answer your question, I think we need to start focusing on the youth musician And that does mean music in schools, but that also is that young musician who wants to get on stage at a club, right? We also need to look at, maybe you don't want to be a musician, but maybe you want to run these sound and lighting. Maybe you want to run these soundboards. Maybe you want to do the other pieces of workforce development that go alongside, not just music, but all forms of entertainment. If you had told me I would be working for city government, 10, 15 years ago as a musician that was touring all around, I would have laughed at you, right? So anyway, that's a very long-winded answer and kind of a rambling one, but hopefully it answered your question.
It did. And I'm going to go to Stratton for a second, because what gets me, Strat, is that when you start speaking about the youth, as we talk about the youth, I'm thinking that we have so many talented youth here in Chattanooga, but not enough platforms to showcase the gifts. So what would you recommend? What do you see, that we could be doing more for our youth? And I'm going to go deeper than that. Our music classes in the schools are diminishing. I know that after-school programs are not really around as much as they used to back in the day, but we still have those creative bodies that are coming out here, whether they're going to church and singing. And I'm going for the black and brown kids. Let me go deep. Black and brown kid, we'll find a way, whether we're hitting a drum on the street, like Clyde Stubblefield hitting the cans. For folks that don't know who Clyde Stubblefield is, come on, really? You don't know who Clyde Stubblefield is? Look it up. But the father of the drum, look it up, from Chattanooga. But where are we providing, or what could we provide, Stratton, for those individuals out there who don't have a lot of platforms? What do you suggest that we should be doing to try to nurture them?
I think that, first of all, a lot of young musicians do start in church. So that's kind of an important historical foundation for people growing their music skills outside of the education system is in church. And so that's an important place. And I think that, those of you online don't see it, but those of us who are here are in this amazing space here at the R.I.S.E Chattanooga Community Hub, and activating this space with all ages performances, doing some of the training with the bandwidth live stream equipment, as well as with just general PA and sound equipment, is really, really important, and is the next level. For, the kids who are really working on it and see themselves with a future in music and live music, they're going to be wanting to learn this stuff anyway, because they're trying to save up enough money to buy their own little PA system so they can practice with their band in a garage or whatever, or even see an opportunity for themselves performing as part of like sidewalk stages with our street performance initiative, where a lot of our local musicians have a little portable setup that they can set up on the walking bridge or different areas of town and be connected to a battery and be completely self-sufficient, be able to amplify their voice, do a thing, make a little bit of money, just performing on the street and tips and donations. And that's an opportunity for kids to be, growing their careers. So I think sort of that technical piece is really important, whether that's happening in school, whether that's happening as part of summer programs or after school programs, at places like this, the R.I.S.E Chattanooga Community Hub, with organizations like SoundCorps, like R.I.S.E, and others in the community who see opportunities, who are dealing with kids on an everyday basis who want to learn how to run a PA system, who want to learn how to get their music out there online through live streaming and other things. So I think that's really a key part of it.
Thank you, Strat. It's when I was outside when Councilwoman Stiles was coming in, I had made a comment, and I said I'm going to make sure that I say it when you're here, that as a councilwoman, you have so many individuals that will come to you, creative folks, but hey, I got an idea. I got an idea that I can nurture this scene for the musician. If you give me $25,000 and give me that money, I will make it happen. How many times have you been approached, and what do we need to be saying to our local creative folks that money just don't come off that tree like that?
That is such a great question, because I think what a lot of youth don't understand is the sweat equity that is involved in your dream. Your dream will not be funded by other people. You have got to go through the sacrifice to make your dream a reality. So what you see on Instagram is, for many people, is a final product, right? That is trial and error many times in a basement, in a mirror, you know, playing with lighting, whatever that is. You don't just walk into success. It takes time. It's the same as the idea that someone is an overnight success, when we all know, who have been creatives, that was a 15-year journey, right? And it happened at a single hit, you know, the first single hit. But yeah, they've been in clubs in the background. I knew Billy Porter before Billy Porter was Billy Porter. So for me, I look at Billy and I'm like, go on, dude, do you? But I remember Billy back in the day in New York, in the theater scene, just, you know, hustling. Because that's what we have to do as creatives. It's hustle and flow nonstop. So that's usually what I'm telling artists. If you show that you're willing to put in the time and the effort, people are watching that because they want to see, how much do you believe in your dream? How much are you willing to do for your dream before you put your hand out and ask me to help you make it? Because when you see someone's willing, you see Janelle Monáe who's living in her car, right? And a friend of mine actually helped her out. Her family used to feed her and drive her around places. Look at her now. You wouldn't know that. But she had help because they said, you're serious and you're committed to this. So we'll help you because we see that you're doing the work. So that is my message for everyone, whatever it is that you're passionate about. Understand, if you're young and your friends go into regular day gigs, they're going to go on vacations. They're going to do some things you aren't going to be able to do because you're not going to have the money to do it, because you're going to be focused on your craft. The vacations will come later. Right. Understand that. But you can't have vacation and have time to build your craft. That doesn't work. And creativity isn't punching a clock. It's not a 40-hour-a-week job. So you can't produce on demand from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day.
Click your heels 3 times, like boom.
Right.
What do they say? It's like 10,000 hours. If you
Exactly.
commit 10,000 hours to something, you will have mastered it.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Okay.
No. I'm just saying. I think that just to her point. I mean, I moved to Nashville and we played to one person, then we played to maybe 2 people, 3 people, and then one time we were playing 12th and Porter when they used to do showcases at 12th and Porter.
Favorite place to play.
I know, it was great. It was great. We'll talk stories after this, but we were playing at 12th and Porter, and this guy who worked as an agent came up and approached us and was just like, oh my gosh, that was actually really, really good. Gave us his card. We, had some conversations with him. And that same night, we had been hustling. I'd been in Nashville for several years, playing tiny, tiny venues. We did this showcase at 12th and Porter. And then this guy approaches us. Well, now he is with William Morris Endeavors, right? And actually propelled us onto much bigger stages with much bigger artists. Zach Brown Band opened up for us once, which I think is really
that is fantastic.
Which I think is funny. But and actually, same night, weird long-haired mustache guy comes up and tells me how much he liked our act. I do have a Stapleton story, but no, that was Kings of Leon. They were there. But yeah, so the point is, you have to hustle. People do not see how much it takes, what the work you put into it. They didn't see me sitting in my room playing drums for hours on end.
But I do think that you both hit an element that I think we have not really talked about and explored, and it's about giving back. When you are an established musician or a seasoned artist, quick is that I'm 6 generations of piano players. I never, ever wanted to play the piano. That wasn't my dream. I didn't think it was my gift. I remember my great-grandmother saying to me that, number one, you're going to learn it because it's your family heritage. That's the biggest gift that we can give you. Number 2, it will always keep you a job. which I thought was so profound. I thought that was so profound. It's like, it always will keep you a job. And number three, it also keeps me focused, and I was running all over the place. I had ADHD, but I digress. It's like you stay focused on the piano. But I do know now in my younger years, in my late 20s, that I have really seen how giving back to our younger generation is so rewarding. And I think that, what we have been doing with R.I.S.E. and continue to do is their mentorship type of programs. Why aren't we asking for these artists and musicians that are out here with these gigs, give back, just to give back? And I look at 3 seasoned folks right here. So, yeah, y'all seasoned. Y'all seasoned.
Okay.
So my thing is that give me an example of how you have given back to other musicians. And I'm going to start with you, Joy. How have you given back to some younger folks? It could have been by advice. It could have been by. I'm just curious. Do you have a story?
Yes. So when I moved to New York with $400. Right? Yeah. I spent the first $200 in my first day getting things for the room in the brownstone that I was going to live in. And for me, it was game on. I was like, you got 30 days to make rent, right? And you still have to live and pay for the subway and all of that. So telling people about the hustle, telling people about sacrifice, telling people what looks like lack in the beginning and how it's wealth on the back end because of your drive, your skill set, all the things that you earn along the way to make you ready to be at the level you want to be at. Because no one's ready to just jump on stage and play for 10,000 people. That just doesn't happen. And so for me, being an elected official now, like I said, my goal was to make things better for artists that are coming to town. So setting up this office means if you want to do film and television, you'll have one-stop shopping. We'll have a platform that, for permitting, that will just be through that office. You won't have to run to 3 different departments, which makes it very cumbersome to want to do anything in Nashville. Right. We'll fix that one problem. Creating a directory of all the things that you need, caterers, security, location scouting, right? Getting Real Scout, just all of these things that make life easier as an artist so that you don't have to phone a friend all the time and say, how did you do that project you did last year? Okay, and then going to someone else and saying, I got a different project to do, but I want to use your makeup artist. All of that will be in a directory. Knowing that we are engaging a program, we're going to create programs for workforce development for our kids so they can see what happens behind the scenes. And if you're interested, how do we get you the experience you need so you can go into that work? That's, for me, that's giving back. I think that's the biggest thing, and being able to create this artist housing is going to be critical. I love what you were saying. Now I want to go investigate this organization for the healthcare, right? Because you what we have for more established artists, right? You've got music cares. You can go in and you can get assistance, but you can't get that if all you're playing is Bobby's Happy Hour. Okay, you can't get it there.
Right.
You have to put some sweat equity in the beginning, but you need assistance in the beginning to help you be able to to do the work to get to the point that you can get to music cares. So I think it's the ground floor that we need to reach. The kids that are passionate, the young people just coming out of college that are coming to town with the dream that may have, maybe they've got 3,000 hours. They're still making their way to 10,000, but how do we nurture them and let them know what you're walking into? Because I think when people want to get into this business, they're blind. And they have all these fanciful notions of what it's going to be like, how they're going to make it. They're going to get a manager. They're going to get an agent. They're going to be at WME 5 minutes after they get it. Right. This is just
real. It's real.
You're not going there immediately. And I'll tell you, when I went to New York, they told me that 90% of the people that come in every year, a year later will be gone.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that is exactly what happened, because it dwindled down to it was the same group of us going in for parts, for theater, for commercials. And, you know, I'm the crazy person who left and moved down here. Most of my friends are still working. So, but all of that is paying off now. So, you know, people are, you know, series regulars and doing that, but that took time. That was nights of, you know, eating corn chips and potato chips and dip.
The
Right.
councilwoman
And
style
hanging
said
out.
corn chips, y'all. Okay. We're definitely going to talk about that scene. Let me, I'm going to ask Stratton real fast. You know, like, for example, Stratton, I'll give you an example. I had a young person, I'm not going to say the person's name because they live here in Chattanooga. You know who you are. And they're on the stage, they're doing their set, but they didn't really have a plot on how this to be set up on stage. Their song list was horrible. Great music, it just had no theme. You know, so I had to sit down. That was an example that I gave to a youngin', saying, this is how you could be better. You know, and it was awkward. You know, I don't know how y'all feel about some of these younger and inexperienced artists, but when they got their chest up, they're like, you know, when you got their chest up, they're like, look, I'm the best in the business. And I'm like, you can't spell business. So let's start there. Give me some examples.
Interesting take, because I was kind of going exactly the opposite way with it, but I'll riff on the idea. So one question that also often comes up. First of all, we run a program that is a music business program. It's 8 weeks. It's called Craft Masters, and we talk about your music career or your music idea in a business mindset. Okay, so we're talking about career stuff. We're talking about making money. We're talking about managing it like a business, right? So we're already in that mindset. And one of the things that comes up often is we talk about competitors. Who are your competitors? And a lot of these people are artists, and they're like, oh no, you know. Or we talk about who is your target, who is your audience, and like everybody loves my music, you know. But when we narrow it down and finally get to a place, and it comes from encouragement rather than discouragement of who is the artist you see, who is the person you see yourself being in 25 years, all right? Well, Beyonce, all right? I see myself as Beyonce. Okay, great. Now we have a starting point. Would Beyonce come out here with a show that is not well planned, and without choreography that hasn't been rehearsed, and without a stage plot where the drummer doesn't know where they're supposed to set up, or no, Beyonce comes with a complete plan and 150 people plus to execute it, right, for a show, right? So let's talk in those terms. And so it's not discouraging, it's encouraging. And let's get it looking right. You know, absolutely, we believe that your art is amazing. We believe that you as a young creative or a creative in general has the ability to wow audiences from stages. And we want you to get to that place where you are Beyonce. What's the next thing you need to do to get to that step? And so that's when we start talking about. That's when we kind of get real with it. Okay. And most people are pretty realistic. I mean, they may have humongous dreams, but there's a realistic way to, eat that elephant one bite at a time, and we can break it down into steps,
I have to piggyback off of what you said, because what I tell people, and I'll tell you one of my frustrations.
Please.
I'm the first artist who's ever served on council, full-time artist. And a lot of people may like art, maybe they like buying tickets for concerts, but they don't understand the business of being a creative. They don't understand the arts, period, any of the industries. And so talking about allocating money for budgets, giving money to our arts department is called Metro Arts. And so this year I fought really hard to get them an additional $2 million. I mean, we are way behind our peers. But when you talk about giving advice, I talk to people about business creatives, what those are, and they're not a lot of business creatives. We have a lot of people that have great gifts and talents, but you don't necessarily understand that your craft can make you money. And then in order for you to make money, you need to manage that money. And what does that look like as you grow your business? And you are your business because you are your brand. How does that expand? If you want to be Beyonce is a businesswoman. She is an entertainer, but she is also a businesswoman. The woman is dropping a film of her world record-breaking tour. It's just a movie, a behind the scenes, and it's going to make millions of dollars. That's a business move. So you've got to know how you leverage your talents into making money so you can exist, so that you don't end up being TLC, so you don't end up, right? True. You don't, or Tony Braxton spending $50,000 a week on flowers. Come on now. And then wondering what happened. These are things. So being a business creative.
We love you, Tony. Come to Chattanooga.
Just being aware, like just understanding what you're doing is you are passionate about it. But we have the blessing. This isn't work. When you're creating, it's not work. So when you perform, it's also not work. So when you're giving advice, it's not work because it's what you love doing. It's a cliche, but if you love what you do, it isn't work. So if you get to do what you love and get paid, that's a blessing.
I love it. I love it. Jonathan, let me ask you.
Okay.
I was going to put you on the spot. No, let me ask you really, because we're getting ready to kind of wrap it up, and I'm going to ask you all the same question a little bit, but before that. I have seen you sit down and give advice and nurture some of our younger musicians, and it went to deaf ears. How did that obviously make you feel? And what do you suggest for individuals who are in your situation, who have the knowledge, you want to give it, but sometimes you get the pushback? How can we work toward eliminating some of that?
What's the saying? Real recognizes real, right? Yeah, I mean, you know, Shane, your questions sometimes. Yeah, how do you respond if your advice falls on deaf ears? Well, you move on until you find the ears that are active. I think, or you find a way to make it relatable to that person that you're talking to at the same time.
Right.
Again, I think trying to create a wide swath of this is how you make it is just not the model anymore. There's not tour support from artists. You're not selling albums, you know. Anyway, to the question, either you recognize the people in the room that are sticking around, that are listening, and that was one of the reasons we did start Road to Nightfall, was to find out who was serious about it. If you didn't know what a stage plot was, if you didn't know what an input list was, ask me and I would show you, or I'd give you an example. And those are the people that came back, and some of them are still actually actively working right now. I don't know, Shane. No. I mean, that's a tough question. The question is, I mean, how do you... I've given advice to organizations. I've given advice to individuals. But at the end of the day, if it was something that I really wanted to go and make happen, I think just from years of being a struggling musician and artist, I would just go do it. So, you know, if something pulls me to want to do that, their deaf ears don't matter to me. Go till I get a yes. And I think some of that, part of my job with the city is to advocate to get to yes for people. People come to me all the time with crazy event ideas. And I would go to a city engineer and they'd say no. Well, then I'd go to another city engineer. Right. But then I would work with the individual and I would get to a yes. So, I mean, the truth is if you have that hustle, if you have that drive, you've already done the wood shopping time, you've already sat at home and done your work. you've learned the business, you've gone out and you've done the things that need to be done, and
the reason
ignore the noise.
Let me explain the reason why I asked that question. I'm going to give it to all of you. Sometimes we make it seem so simple. To some folks, because they don't know your full stories.
Yeah.
So when you're getting ready to share, and I can only speak for myself, perhaps. How about that? When I'm sharing to people, they're like, "Oh, you've done so much in a short period of time." As you said, Joy, they don't know the full story. They don't know what you have gone through. But also in the same breath, as we tie this into music, different strokes for different folks, but sometimes the journey is the same. Yeah. You got to be open to learning. You know, when we did the whole Youth Music Academy back in the day, you know, I had to introduce more than just hip hop. There's much more than just the thing of hip hop. There is jazz. There's other elements of music that you have to learn. They didn't want you to do it, but they had to learn it. I want to be able, before we get out of here, to say, as we talk about nurturing our local folks and our local scenes, how do you deal with rejection? How you deal with deaf ears? How do you handle that?
May I?
Please.
For me, the word no is where I start. It's not where I finish. So if you say no to me, I just know that one avenue doesn't work. And I still have a plethora of avenues to attempt until I get to the yes. And it's easier to give me what I want than to try to not give it to me.
Oh, God, okay.
So for me, because the industry is based on no, you're gonna hear no 90% of the time. Right. You have to build up your backbone. If you don't have a backbone, if you have thin skin, and that's actually some advice that I give to people, if you can't handle criticism, this is not the business for you. Because you're gonna get criticisms about things that aren't even true. So you're gonna need to be able to shake it off, and you have to know your own self-worth. You have to know what you are capable of. And you have to know that you're great and that you can do what it is you say that you can do. So you can't let other people's perceptions dictate what you do or what you don't do. You have to stay focused. And I'll say that about living in New York. Everyone who's in New York that comes for a purpose, that's, you know, in whatever section of town that you're in, if you're driven, you wake up every day thinking about that purpose. What are you going to do to make a dent in that purpose every day? And that's what drives you. And you stay focused on that every single day. And along the way, you enjoy yourself and have a good time, but your goal is keeping you moving forward every single day.
Can I add real quick?
Yep, this is going to be the last question.
I had somebody tell me first when I moved to Nashville, you know, be careful what you say, first of all, because your bartender may be a better drummer than you, right? And then here's another story. I was 20 years old, and I got my start playing professionally in a reggae band, which you obviously could tell by looking at me that that's exactly how I got my start into the music world.
It's a red hair. It's a red hair.
But we toured with the Wailers. We recorded in Kingston. We did the whole thing, right? But I got real mad at a club owner and a door guy one night, because he wasn't going to let my friends in. Remember, I was 20 at the time. He wasn't going to let my friends into the show, and I got just irate. And the owner of the venue, who is still booking shows in this city to this day, by the way, sat me down. And you always hear the expression, you know, well, don't step on those. You'll need them on the way, you know, on the way up. But he taught me, you know, you may get that rejection. You may get a club owner, or you may get a sound guy, or you may get a door guy or a bartender that gives you just total rejection, that puts you way down, right? But then be ready, because in 5 years that person could be working for you. Exactly. Or they could be the one that you need, that now they own a venue. Now that they, that kind of thing. They are a label now, It's, so anyway, I think handle rejection with humility and wisdom and not having thin skin and stand your ground when you got to stand your ground.
Thank you. Strat.
Yeah, for me, I think critique is really, really important, both giving and receiving, and it's very common in the arts in general. Musicians deal with it, artists deal with it day to day. I personally gained some skills in critique, both receiving and giving, in art classes starting in high school. And I don't consider myself, and nor do I try to be, a good artist, like visual artist or painter or drawer or anything like that. I'm actually completely horrible at it. But the skills that you get from that kind of more classically trained art critique is really important, and you use it on a daily basis as a musician and as a person who is critiquing others or who is helping guide others. And so being open to criticism, being open to critique, doing that in sort of in a positive way and in a way that is constructive to others is super important on both sides of giving and receiving, and it makes for a much healthier community all around.
We're going to end with this. I was told very early on in age when I started to performing that you're good, but you're not great. You're good, but you're not great. And I said, thank you. And I was auditioning at the time. And I was full transparency. I was auditioning for Disney. And I'm from Connecticut. And I auditioned for Disney. I got through the second auditions, thinking I was going to be one of those black Disney kids, and was told that you're good. You ain't great, but you're good. That was my motivator for the rest of my life when it came to my professional career. So I look now for the good guy, not the great guy, sitting in this space, making sure that I'm helping community, gaining friends, raising over $2 million, and letting it go back to the community. I'm good, and I'm better now. And I think that I could not do that without friends, allies, and knowing my worth and my work, and knowing that everything that we do and that we connect with and nurturing this community will only strengthen us, that we won't be just good, we will be great. Folks, you've been listening to Chattanooga Music Gives with me, Mr. Morrow, call me Shane. I got Jonathan here, I got Joy here, I got Stratton here. We're gonna continue conversations throughout the day, but this is what I want you to do. It's Giving Tuesday. Give back. You don't have to worry about giving to R.I.S.E. You ain't got to worry about giving to the city. You ain't got to worry about giving to other folks. But you got to give something.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I always think of that. This hit me, the analogy when I walk out of a mall or a Walmart or any kind of store.
Go ahead.
Right? Salvation Army has the person there with the bell.
Yep.
And
Right.
And if we can change the mindset of people to, and I'm always encouraged, right? I'm always encouraged to give as I'm coming or going, because you see that. But I'll be honest with you, I don't give to the Salvation Army in July. I do in November and December because they're out there and they're doing the thing and they're all this, right? Right. So I challenge people on Giving Tuesday.
Please.
And I'll support, shout out to SoundCorps' Sidewalk Stages program. When you see sidewalk performers, when you see artists, not just musicians, but I like the human statues and things like that too, right? But think about that bell mentality and that red kettle mentality, and just try to connect those, because to me that's what giving, I don't know, that was my Giving Tuesday statement.
No, but I think that's true. The bell is internal. Listen to what your spirit tells you. It's time to give. Today is, I know that's deep. Today is the day. Give. We'll be back in a little bit of time, but enjoy the rest of your day. If you don't connect with us, make sure you're connecting with somebody. Give. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.